Jai Hind, viewers. We welcome you back on another panel discussion being done by MRO Digest Forums. Today we are going to be talking about the National Technology Day, which has we just celebrated that, and we have a very eminent panel with us today. We have with us Lieutenant General Dr. Anil Kapoor, who served as Director General Electronics and Mechanical Engineers and Director General Info Systems. He was awarded the Eminent Engineer Award 2020 by Institution of Engineers. He is a professor of practice at IIT Tirupati and also a board member in their Innovation Hub. He writes and speaks on emerging technologies like C7 ISR and artificial intelligence in many publications and platforms. We also have with us Maj Gen Ranjit Ghosh, who served as the Additional Director General and Colonel Commandant of Corps of Electronics and Mechanical Engineers, a postgraduate gold medalist from IIT Madras in maintenance engineering. He was Chief Managing Director of an Army base workshop. At a strategic level, he steered life cycle engineering support for Army's capital acquisitions and revenue procurements. General Ghosh has authored books on global defense industries and technological bases and is a strong proponent of disruptive technologies for defense transformation. We also have with us Mr. Pradeep Gupta, who's a technocrat and an ex-bureaucrat who left the Government of India to set up a think tank, security and policy initiatives to work for absorption of defense TOTs and improvement of border management. Besides, he is mentoring startups in AI, VR and AR. He is ex-OSD indigenization, MOD, ex-Joint Secretary MHA, ex-PS2 President, and ex-OSD and PS2 Defense Minister. So on behalf of the viewers, I welcome the panel to today's discussion. I will now request first for General Kapoor to give his opening remarks on this topic. General Kapoor, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening to viewers and good evening to fellow panelists. It's always a pleasure getting together on the forum of MRO Digest. And I think today is a very important subject that we are touching upon, which is the National Technology Day. Now, let me start by saying that the Buddha is smiling, or Smiling Buddha was the code name given to our first nuclear implosion program, which happened on 18th May 1974. And close on heels 24 years after that, on 11th of May, which is a week prior to that 24 years, 11 May 1998, we had another Buddha smiling with a fission and fusion bomb implosion in Pokhran. And this time it was codenamed Operation Shakti. The first one was to show to the world that we have the power of nuclear energy for peaceful use. The second was to tell the world that we have also arrived in the elite group of nations who can call themselves nuclear. Now, that was a major milestone. Also, in this window, 11 May and around, we had two more important things which happened. One was the indigenous successful trial of Trishul missile, and the other was that the technology demonstrator of LCA was launched on this date. So really speaking, there are 2-3 events which happened, and of course, the then Prime Minister, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, declared 11th May as the Technology Day. And that was the day which is celebrated ever since to basically bring out the prowess of our own technology and highlight the rich scientific heritage of India, the technology heritage of India. And of course, it is also there to complement and award outstanding engineers, scientists, researchers, and innovators. So that is the fabric. But my question always, which I have also been writing about, is what beyond all this? Do we have an intent? And I've written on this as well, on technology sovereignty. When will India become technologically sovereign? Is it going to be 11 May 2030 or 11 May 2047? We need to have a technology sovereignty strategy. So, therefore, these are two major milestones I think that we need to think about. First, ab initio technology strategy, and then a milestone based technology plan, both forecasting and development plan, as to how do we go about it, what are the structures. We do have a technology development board, but I think it falls short of meeting this aspiration, which is becoming technologically sovereign and a global leader in technology sovereignty. And therefore, as my opening remarks, I would say that this day will become very meaningful if we show our passion towards technology, if we show our purpose towards technology, if we take ownership towards technology with optimism, and show how we can create a technologically sovereign India. Today, technology is the wheel on which economy also moves. There is a huge congruence. Whether you talk of climate change, whether you talk of any sustainment development goal, whether you talk of energy, I think everything hinges around technology and its digital twin data. So therefore, I think that is the fabric we have to look at as we look into the future. Thank you. These are some opening remarks.
Thank you very much, General Kapoor, for those remarks. Uh, yes, indeed. In fact, this term, technology sovereignty, you have been talking about, and I think it's a very powerful term because if history teaches us anything, it does teach us that any nation which has the best technology does convert to power, national power, comprehensive national power, for example, as a major part of it is the technology prowess of a particular country. And in fact, any technology, no matter what purpose it is developed for, does find its use into weapon systems. And that is why it's so important for us to remain abreast. And the technology sovereignty sums it up quite well there. And while talking about the making of coining of excellent terms from the wisdom of the members of our MRO Digest forums, I would like to also say here, for example, General Iswaran has also talked about a word called moral infrastructure, which he has given in one of the panel discussions. And General Ranjit Ghosh, the other day in one of the panel discussions, mentioned a term which really struck me as a very practical way of moving forward with technology. He said system integration to system indigenization. So this is a very powerful term, I feel, which he has said, because it allows us to really show on ground how we can build technology. So, General Ghosh, may I request you to give your initial opening remarks?
Thank you, sir, and Jai Hind, viewers. General Kapoor has already given the historical perspective of this particular day. It dates back to 1998, wherein we imploded those 5 nuclear bombs, with which we not only showed the prowess of our scientists, but also showed the resolve of the country that we are not going to be just using this nuclear aspect in terms of self-existence and coexistence, but also we announced our global presence by getting into that elite nuclear club, nuclear capable nations, I think 5 of them at that time. And it was a very proud moment for all of us, we remember. And thereafter, the symbolism was very clear. It demonstrated your scientific capability, it demonstrated your resolve. From there onwards, we have celebrated this National Technology Day over the last 25 years. The 25th year's edition is here. What I see is that every year there has been different themes on which we have, that is the current theme. And this is a day when we not only acknowledge the contributions of all the scientists, technocrats, engineers, innovators, entrepreneurs in maybe in technology perspectives. We review our technical infrastructure, science, technology, innovation infrastructures. We look at past, present, and future. We may not be looking at a proper full-fledged strategy because we are not maybe not looking at technological superiority, but we are looking at technology as an enabler or the applied technologies to improve the various sectors that it is spanning into. We have spanned into a number of sectors, from agriculture tech to biotech to computers to communication technologies to geo sciences or earth sciences to marine, and a whole lot of scientific areas are available to apply this technology in terms of first developing it. So the whole essence of this technology, National Technology Day 2025, at least what I see, is to get your technological infrastructure, science technology infrastructure correct. And that is what the government is pushing for. I think it is pushing for the science, technology, innovation culture to set in. It is hitting at the lowest level, which is your schools, which starts off as early as class 3, class 4, class 6. It builds in a type of a innovation culture in the student who develops a particular innovative product. He is getting a prototype through. He is given, facilitated in terms of the funds, in terms of the patent, in terms of developing that product subsequently by incubating it and converting it into a proper technological product which can produce a marketability, and thereafter he scales it up as he grows into college, into the incubation centers, onto a startup, and finally we are looking at these youngsters or the innovative minds becoming a bigger scientist, a junior scientist, a senior scientist. And this is how the whole ecosystem is looking at as far as National Technology Day is concerned. Now, while we are recollecting the milestones achieved and the milestones to be achieved in the future, these themes are one part. At the same time, it also puts in your short-term, long-term, short-term, mid-term, long-term perspective of your technology roadmap in the various sectors, be it social sectors in terms of healthcare or other education and others, or be it advanced technological centers, or it could be even deep tech, which will be higher risk startups, but greater dividends in the future. So this is what it is. Why it is needed? Is the technology day needed? Are the other countries doing it? Well, it is how you debate it. It may, at least it puts you in a perspective. We had the Teachers' Day earlier. At least the teachers come into limelight. There is someone looking at what the teacher community has done, how the teacher has contributed. We looked at COVID. We started celebrating the medicos. So this is the Technology Day, which is looking at the achievements of our engineers, scientists, innovators, and entrepreneurs in the technology field and boosting us to evolve and grow further and further.
Thank you, General Ghosh, for giving those opening remarks. Now I'll request Pradeep Gupta, and the fact that he is putting so much energy, and he has made a think tank, which he regularly they have bring a lot of very excellent content and materials. He's been prominent panelist in all our panel discussions. He's talking about the importance of absorption of defense TOTs. He's mentoring startups in AI, VR, and AR. Actually, he's hands-on contributing along with his wonderful team of people to lifting the technology threshold of our nation. So I think it will be wonderful to hear his views on National Technology Day. Mr. Pradeep Gupta, please.
Thank you, General Matharu. And my fellow panelists have very wonderfully elaborated on the importance of this National Technology Day. As you all know, it was to commemorate not only that explosion, but the achievements which led to that explosion in Pokhran. So since then, we are, duty bound to carry that achievement forward to next stage. So that's what the nation is doing. But there are certain things which I feel it must be critically reviewed. We take a lot of things for granted. For granted means if you see in the just for the indigenization only, we think that let us give the orders to the startup, 10 years order, this, that. But then most of the MSMEs or the startups or these organizations fail at the level of technological challenges. They never reach. So sometimes they blame the QA, sometimes they blame this and that. And the time passes for several years, they won't succeed. So there is a serious requirement of looking into the technological capabilities. I don't say that the jugaad is bad, but then certainly there is a tendency for jugaad, and I have also done it in my career. But then that was a stopgap arrangement. Jugaad is a stopgap arrangement for us. We have to adopt the proper engineering practices and that approach which is there available in the Western countries or in Israel. How they succeed in visualizing these key technologies, that is somehow not there, and we have to catch up fast on this. If you see that we can do or not, we can do this, that we have been highly successful in the missile, in the nuclear, in the space. And other fields also, I think it should happen. So this is one, my observation of the technological advancement what we are making. One more thing I would like to point out, I am a participant in one of the dialogues, what they call it, dialogues for Asian universities. And that was started by some East Asian nation expatriate during COVID times in US. And they were a fairly large group of professors based in Korea or in Singapore. Less number of Indians are there, but then there are quite a few. So they have they kept one special session wherein I roped in the IIT Madras director, Jadavpur University Vice Chancellor, and one ex-director of Indian Statistical Institute. And ISI is one of the world's best institute in its category. So they were little puzzled, the Americans and others, that why India is producing, how it is producing the best CEOs in the world. And they are telling they are educated in India. And that was the news. The whole session was discussing this thing. That Indian education system is one of the best, probably. That is why they are producing the best CEOs in the world. Every year you find 1 or 2, 3 names of Indian origin, pass outs of IIT or IIMs, etc., even other institutes, becoming CEOs of the world largest corporations. So this is one tribute to us. So we have to maybe make some midway changes in our approach to the technical problems, focus more on what rightly their theme is selling, that school to startups, the ecosystem of the technology. That may, I think that in further down the years, it may inculcate the spirit of innovation, imagination in the youngsters, and they may come up with better conceptualization of newer technological products. So that's what is my view for the National Technological Day today, that 11th May, what we celebrated last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, and thank you all the panelists for your excellent opening remarks. Now, we have made big strides, and there's absolutely no doubt about it. And that is from the achievements which all our panelists have themselves mentioned. And now, in fact, we are being counted as a place where as a country which is able to produce world-class technology. And we belong to a generation who have seen this happen. After we became an engineer, we have seen, for example, the rise of IT. And I've seen in Hyderabad how a small company which just started with a few engineers together now is a world-class brand name, Infosys. Then from which we have now become the IT, one of the very, very big powerhouses of IT, real high-quality information technology. And from that very same source, fountainhead, if I was to say, in the non-defense area, we have now got UPI, and which has become such a big change and such a huge technology, which we are using it so confidently in our country, which is, they're leading to a metamorphosis of sorts, and it is that particular fountainhead is still carrying on. So that was a big success. And also, you see now recently, number of further successes in the form of unicorns, world-class unicorns, which have come up. If you just look at the number of listings which have come of recently in the National Stock Exchange, people going public, money being given by the normal citizen of India, and companies succeeding. If you see at all this which I am saying, I am trying to say that one, of course, is there's a sort of an ecosystem which is now developing in our nation, which is helping this happening. And one of the things which is there, a good ingredient of this ecosystem is enabling. It has got good HR, it's got good academia, which produces top-class engineers. It's got the drive of these engineers to produce companies which can really find a place in the world beaters. And the drive is fueled by the fact that through innovation, they can become really big achievers, not in terms of just the technology they create, but also in terms of creating world-class companies. So this is the big factor which I perceive. And I think herein, we have repeated what has happened in maybe in places like the United States of America, where you find so many immigrants who come there and build world-class companies. If you just look at all the very big companies which are there, you find there are a lot of immigrants. They were not born in the United States of America, but they produce world-class companies in the United States of America. And now we just mentioned that our people are becoming the big CEOs. So we have succeeded, I feel, in IT, UPI, unicorn, which I mentioned. So what is it? I feel that competition and enabling environment and protecting the IPR is also there, because especially in the case of IT, I feel IPR is very difficult to copy, because you can't copy the code. So you can get an idea, but if you have the code, it is protected. So is that also a part of it? So my next question to this very eminent panel is that the success of economies like USA, Europe, South Korea, Japan, these are democracies, and where they have succeeded, and now we have also succeeded. Can you give your views on it, that how can we empower, I would say, the innovative spirit of our people to produce high-class innovations and in their success be able to create very big world-class companies? So your views on that, please. Anyone? Go ahead, General Ghosh, please.
So regarding the developed countries, I don't think we are lagging much. We rank 5th in science and technology today. The basis is already being set as we bought out. At the grassroots level, you're addressing so that you have these Atal mission, innovation mission, which has got those Atal labs, which have proliferated over a period of the years. It has gone more than 10,000, I believe, in different states. It is targeted down from tier 1 to tier 4 cities. The bulk of these labs are in the rural and the government schools. They are churning out unicorns more from the inner strata or the inner reaches of the society and country. So the whole methodology of tinkering labs or innovation centers, incubation centers, community centers at the grassroots level has been pushed in. It is getting developed. It has got already a number of innovations which have come in, nearly, I think, uh, huge numbers. And in that, thereafter, once he is getting that innovative mind and developing a product, he's been given a scholarship. There are some inspired scholarships at the school level. Thereafter, he is getting, with his product, there are fresh avenues of employment coming in because there are novel ideas, and novel ideas will give novel employment. As far as thereafter, he comes into the college where he is mixing around with the centers of excellence or the research institutes, research organizations, RITs, NITs as the incubation centers to develop that particular technology or a branched out technology of what he has worked on earlier. So, and he is also meeting all these technocrats and developers and innovators in such occasions as the National Technology Day. Coming on to technological startups, whereas we know that the number of startups have proliferated today from in the last, I think, 2016 was Startup India. 16 to 23, 7 years, we have gone from about 400 odd to around 96,000 today. But yes, technical startups or startups dealing with technologies are just about 4,000. So roughly about 4% is only technology startups. So where is it lacking today? As Mr. Gupta has clearly brought out, there is certain miss. The miss is in terms of risk-taking appetite for these technological startups. We have to have a risk appetite because the gains are going to be huge once they succeed, but their failures will have to be accepted. Startups fail for other reasons. Startup fails because a startup is supposed to address a problem which is new to the customer, which is cannot be handled by the customer, which cannot be handled by anyone else. So it has to be a very contemporary requirement, target it, improve upon it, change your business to a new product that is required. This is how startups are supposed to target the requirements. As far as technical startups, the technology changes with time. So again, the time and space factor pumps in what kind of technology you're looking at. In the 90s, we looked at software. So your IT proliferated. Now we are looking at hardware. Semiconductor has become a problem. So they have pumped in some 75,000 crores or some. They're looking at startups coming up 50 odd by end of this year. So that is the thrust area. Suddenly you will look at defense startups. In defense, now you're gone for Make in India. So you're looking at deep cutting edge technologies. So you require, and they are giving out the specific requirements in terms of mission statements that this is the technology I need. So the development of the nation is correlates to the technologies, the technology landscape, the technology evolution, the technology roadmap. And that is how you grow from a underdeveloped to a developing to a developed nation. And finally, coming on to your other aspects of, and also there'll be some mushroom requirement, disruptive technologies as you brought in, electric drives, as we said, you have drones coming in, you may have space, from space you want to go into marine exploration. Earlier you had strategic sectors only being covered because the whole thrust was the money. The money was for the strategic sector. We really came up in missiles, nuclear and space. And that has been our forte. Now is the time where other sectors in the sectoral limits of innovation, science, technology, and research and development is ever expanding. As you rightly brought out, sir, the government initiatives is a very big ecosystem. The ecosystem starts from skilling India initially. You skilled your people. Then you started a Startup India. Then you said a Stand Up India. Then you went on to a Make in India. Then you went to a Invest India. Then you went into some Digital India. Then you went into Atmanirbhar Bharat. Digital India has had tremendous payoffs, as you said. You start with the UPI, lowest chap has it got, the shopkeeper is able to use the UPI. You go into a hospital, you have got that Sanjeevani. You go into Jan Dhan Yojana initially, that Trinity, which started with your accounts and Aadhaar and linking of that thing. It reached the lowest of the masses. You have got everywhere, everything. You got DG Locker, you have got You go to the airport, you've got certain application available. You go into passport, you've got that M-Visa. So everywhere it has been touched. All sectors of the society are getting addressed through the digital transformation. And these all are time specific. Time has come where we are looking at digitization and other things. So this is how it is growing. I would say we are evolving. We are generating the economy. The economy is growing. So you have become a fifth largest economy. You're going to fourth largest. You're going to third largest. You're moving in science and technology also up to a fifth rank. Your global innovation index, you jumped up from some 80 odd to 40 odd. So around 40 paces you have gone. Your patents have gone up. Your trademarks have gone up. Your designs have gone up. So there is a progress. But yes, it is incremental progress seeing vis-a-vis the developed nations. And it is bound to be at that level.
Thank you, General Ghosh. May I now request General Anil Kapoor to give his views?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now, I think some very interesting discussions are happening on the National Technology Day and where we are. For sure, we are in a very good state. There is no doubt. India is in a very good state when we look at it from a technology perspective. We've had all the programs, the IGMDP, the ISRO space program, the Digital India, and others that have been alluded to. But then we must realize that all these came up as a very, very well thought through strategy. It never happened by default. It happened by a design. And I would refer to a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And I would love, in fact, I've been propagating this all my life, that all professionals must read this book to realize what takes you from good to great. And I think the discerning factor is that you have to give a strategy to get direction before speed. You can be good by speed, but you can't be great by speed. For great, you need velocity, where it is direction first, then speed. And if we were to read another book, which I have referred to earlier also in this forum, titled The 100 Years Marathon by Michael Pillsbury, on how China came up. The Chinese story dates back to 1949. And it was a baseline document which conveyed everything, including how the citizens will behave. What will be education, what will be technology, what will be the technology strategy. And I'm talking of 49. So I would always like to believe that if we have to transcend from good to great, if we want to transcend from the technology levels that we have today into technology supremacy and then technology sovereignty, we need to have a very formalized technology strategy. What we are achieving is good, there is no doubt. But is good enough is the question. Why? Because when we go into details, and the devil often lies in details, we find that there's a huge amount of import, even in technologies, huge import. And some very basic technologies, some niche technologies. And unless we captured that at the right time, I think we'll keep missing the bus. Now let's look at AI as an example, artificial intelligence. I think this is given our software, should I say, credentials as a nation, the digital credentials as a nation, the big data credentials as a nation, I think, and the number of startups who are there today. And in fact, I did a little Googling today, just to set the records. We have over 1,25,000 registered startups, out of which 27,000 are in deep tech, including space, defense, and others. We have 22 unicorns, though it may not be a big number otherwise, but a billion of 122 in a short span of in a decade, less than a decade, speaks volumes of our abilities. We have 71 gazelles, and gazelles are those who are going to be unicorn in the next 2 years. And we have 51 cheetahs, and cheetahs are those who are destined to be unicorn in the next 4 years. So that is the good part. My point is, how do we transcend into great? When we are talking on National Technology Day, let's talk of a great India, the golden Sone ki Chidiya, the golden bird, which has, and we have the abilities. I mean, we are globally pronouncing, and all the panelists, fellow panelists have said it, that globally we have a huge footprint. But the point is, are we calling the shots? Is the world eating out of our hands? Look at the small nation called Israel, which is full of constraints. In fact, they mastered the theory of constraints. If you read the book Goal, the theory of constraints has come out of Israel, and they have taught the world. They are the startup nation. They have taught the world how small teams can make a difference. And all of us in our lives, I mean, even when we were children, we used to do some science projects, small ones. I remember having done them in school. During our degree course, we and other courses, we do some very mega projects which have huge relevance. But unfortunately, they get consigned to the institutions and the courses where you do them. Nobody picks them up. And that is the problem with our innovation largely. That today, I can tell you, I am with IIT Tirupati now in their Technology Innovation Hub. The problem is we don't have a formalized strategy. With the result, we have now, like, if let's look at any one project, we are into position and positioning. Anything that gets into cyber, they say, no, that is not yours. But today, there is a lot of seamless boundaries which happen in projects and programs. So you get a number of IITs who get together, and that is where the problem starts. Today, you've got Technology Innovation Hub, you've got Center of Excellences, you got done by DST is done, Center of Excellences and Technology Innovation Hub. MIT has done a large number of Center of Excellence. Headquarter IDS is coming up with a lot of, DRDO is coming a lot of Centers of Excellence. With the result, the euphoria is huge. The capital outlay is huge. But my basic question is, direction is more important than speed. Is it that a large number of people are doing the same research? And that may be counterproductive, because we need to create regulation, governance, and legislation in this field. Imagine when India ran into a debt trap, we opened our economy. And what happened when we opened our economy suddenly? We had huge fly-by-night kind of NBFCs which came up and played merry hell with money of the people. Same happened. And then we, of course, got in SAPI and others to regulate this field. Same thing happened with real estate in India. There was a real estate boom, and then you had to get RERA to contain this animal of real estate. Today, the technology boom is visible. There's no doubt. It's a huge boom. I think there's a need to have a regulatory mechanism. And I often say, one technology, one window. If I want to work on AI, let there be one committee which reviews all AI programs and allows you to only get in there if nobody else does it. Or you please look at human capital getting together to give direction to your efforts. We do have, I mean, today, if you were to try and open a small website, they will actually ask you the name of the website. And if it already exists, they say, no, you change your name. You cannot get into this website. And it's like an IPR issue. But I think when we look at basic research, we need to focus and concentrate our efforts in the right direction. There's a lot of money available. There's a lot of euphoria. I think we need to tame this, but through a very nice regulation, through very nice governance, and maybe creating structures which actually give the right kind of propulsion to this effort of ours. And we move from what I often say, good to great. That is the transition one is looking at. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Anil Kapoor. Mr. Pradeep Gupta, you wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Regarding this innovation, what you have mentioned, the question, your query, because I am interacting with a lot of startup and also giving them strategic guidance. The major question, what I feel in any successful innovation, successful will be when it establishes in a commercial model or maybe a business model. One is the lab success is one part of it, but then coming to public domain, it has to be commercially viable. Then the issue comes that the business model, the business approach of that particular system complete, which includes the innovation and the commercial aspects also. Innovation is 40% technical, 60% is business. That is including marketing. A lot of engineers I have seen, when they become entrepreneurs, I'm talking of youngsters, they are very less aware of the intricacies of the taxation, etc., and a lot of them falter. Some may go bust off because of that. Some people do not know that they have to work on some kind of positive cash flow. So this is where the mentorship, the guidance, this is required. So this is one part of it. Another issue is that when the innovation is measured against the ROI in the very beginning, then that is a certain question which is going to kill the innovation. Nobody can commit the returns even before the product is launched. Another area is the weak enforcement of the patent act or patent law. Patent infringement is quite popular, happening here, and the Westerners are very cautious about it, that the enforcement of patent rules and act is poor here in this country. Another issue what I have observed is the interdisciplinary approach of the new age technologies. But we fall in the trap of the tough battle. If say a medicine or medical innovation is there, he will not be very open for the hardware sort of thing. So there is some distinction, and we are least appreciative of each other's concerns. So it requires a big push from the top levels or from other levels to give it the right kind of direction, what has been rightly mentioned by Anil Kapoor. One thing I like to highlight about the regulation. It is my personal observation that regulating innovation will be little risky, because there are a lot of teams working simultaneously in this country itself on the same innovation in different areas and with different business models. Somebody makes it a very lucrative one, somebody is not able to do it. So that is where if 4 people are working, obviously the best fittest, it is survival of the fittest. So that is where it will be there. Otherwise, if we regulate the innovations or the entry of the innovators or startups in this arena, it may have some impact in slowing or impeding the growth. Whatever momentum, what rightfully Anil Kapoor and Anil Ghosh have mentioned in last 7, 8 years, 10 years, it has achieved. So that's my views and observations, what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. Now, so I think General Kapoor, Mr. Pradeep Gupta is giving a counter view to what you feel that regulation should be there. So would you like to respond to that?
Okay. I think he's brought out a very pertinent point, but I would still like to beg to differ a little bit. You know, there is a huge amount of fear of failure in our psyche. Our psyche is, what if he fails, or what if that guy fails, or what happens? To my mind, the aim of regulation is not to snub. The aim of regulation is to give direction to the effort. So really speaking, I feel that there is a need for creating a body. We have a lot of these bodies now. We have the National Institute of Smart Governance, which is actually looking at a large number of programs. I think there is a need for creating an agency for taming technology. I always say taming is the word. You have to tame it. And if you don't, today, like I said, out of 1,25,000 or so startups, only 122 are unicorns. So you've got about 250 odd who are really in the limelight. This number could actually easily become much more pronounced if we bring in regulation, if we give direction to the efforts, because he's right when he said that, you know, we have all shades and grades of startups, all shades and grades of scientists, all shades and grades of engineers, all shades and grades of entrepreneurs, all shades and grades of mentors. So now imagine a low-grade mentor with a low-grade startup. He's also registered. Obviously, he's moving into, we are reinforcing failure, if I may say. That's a recipe for failure. We need to create recipes for success. And they cannot happen without what we in the army say, without a proper command, control, communication structure. We need that structure. There is no doubt in my mind. And if we had it, like I said, that is when you'll transition from good to great. Good story तो हो रही है, great होगी वो एक उसके लिए I feel that we need to do lot more thinking, lot more nitty-gritty efforts. You have to look at the detail, the nitty-gritty, and make sure that you only have the quality guys who come up for all this as defense experts. So I think if we need to move ahead, and since we are talking on a National Technology Day, to my mind, a technology strategy, a technology committee for doing this strategy, and a committee for looking at the complete structures, policies, and mentors, and all these issues need to be streamlined through a regulatory mechanism. We need a RERA in technology, if I may say, or a SAPI in technology. It'll create the difference that we have been seeing happening in the real estate and in the financial market, respectively. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we have both sides. We have the views, multiple both sides. So I'm sure the viewers can pick. You can see that it's not an easy way to find solutions. But then that's what we want to contribute to. We want to be helpful with whatever we can to throwing up ideas where it helps our nation to grow technologically. So, General Ghosh, you wanted to say something?
Sir, while I agree with both the panelists, Mr. Gupta as well as Anil Kapoor, regarding the startup products or the prototypes not getting converted into marketable products in the numbers that they are required to be. But at the same time, if you look at the success story of US and China, which are the two nations ahead of you in terms of startups and unicorns, we have to take some best practices or learn certain lessons from them. Each of these countries mushroomed a whole lot of science, technology, innovation hubs. Whole lot of innovations were allowed. The smallest to the biggest, they were allowed to go through. And from there came the products. Like if you listen to the development of drones, it started with that person starting with his own investment of $18,000 from his house, and then looking at a seed funding which came from DARPA. And DARPA's thing developed over next 15 years. If you look at an unclassified document of DARPA's projects, which I have seen on the net, they have conceived ideas in 2004, which are fructifying today in 2023. So all innovations are meant to be put on the board. 90% will fail, is bound to happen. 10% will come off. The smallest of them may mushroom into the best of products, which will become a global market leader. There will be risks which have to be taken. There will be investments which will go down the drains. There will be startups who will pack up. This is the process of how startups grow, how countries. It's a very clear example of the two nations ahead of you. And if they have done it, we have to do it. But at the same time, the government, the point of innovators is clear, point of incubators. The government is very, very tight in terms of giving certain Government of India funded incubators, because the money is counted. But we are not such a country where we can just throw money onto this aspect. So they have regulated the incubators with Government of India regulators. They have got private players who have come in as incubators. There the levels can be debated as to how many are good and how many are bad, which requires a regulatory. I am fully in agreement with the requirement of streamlining of procedures, requirement of regulatory mechanisms, but the risks have to be accepted. The risk-taking appetite has to be high, and higher and technological startups, as I said earlier. This is the way only we will grow. And that is the way only when we will start becoming good at certain technologies, get self-reliant in those, and go on to a developed nation at some stage. And we're not looking at a small time frame of 5 years. We're looking at 75 years to 100 years. That is about 25 years from today. And if we are on the right steps, with all these things going on, as of now, it is just throwing and seeing how many innovations that can come up. How many will fructify, how to model it or channelize it to our requirements, each is a different application. The same thing applied in defense is different to the thing applied in space is different to that in agriculture. As we saw, agricultural drone is different to a military drone. So the applications are abundant. Technologies have to come. Technologies have to be innovated. Innovations have to come. And that is how which sector it finds application could be anywhere. That is my view on this.
Mr. Pradeep Gupta, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, this will be my closing remark. I have to go somewhere. The issue, what I have observed, my fellow panelists have mentioned, is that I am of the opinion that everything should not be put in the government control. If you see the IT sector in last 3, 4, 5 decades, four decades, it has prospered because it moved very fast and it was in the private hand. Had it been in the government sector or in the government control, it wouldn't have reached this level. We wouldn't have been able to produce, create colossus like Infosys or Wipro or TCS, etc., etc. So I must not put government control everywhere. Yes, certainly what General Kapoor has mentioned, that is automatically happening like in missiles, like in space, like in nuclear. Obviously, this is the government controlled domains and government is creating a lot of efforts in that direction. But there are areas wherein the private sector should be given free hand, or rather less of regulation, more of encouragement should happen. So if we start controlling these like medical innovation or the AI or ML or other sectors, then there will be a lot of impedance. It may not progress in the desired direction. So this was what I mentioned earlier. Another is the mindset. What we have in India is, I am part of it, is not very conducive to appreciate the riskier decisions and the innovations. Unlike the West, where these things have progressed quite a lot, maybe with the government support also, or without the government support. But it has progressed and those nations have gone quite ahead. So thinking that the Indian mindset will not play, either you are in the seat of power or out of seat of power in the private sector. But the mindset is mindset. So where even I've come across the big business houses where they look at innovations very cautiously. So unless somebody must encourage, yes, you find unicorns coming, but those are one in thousands. Behind every successful unicorn or such a startup, you find thousands are there which has gone bust or maybe not have succeeded. So it's a survival of the fittest for these organizations. So the government control, if I give the control to the regulators or to the government to control the AI innovations or ML innovation or such kind of things, then it may not give us the true results. So that's what my view is that about.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta. We would be, I know you have got a commitment elsewhere, so, but we are very happy that you participated in the discussion till now. And we look forward to your future participation in our panels. Thank you very much for participating, and maybe we will meet again in the next panel discussion. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, fellow panelists. Thank you.
So, gentlemen, as you see, Mr. Pradeep Gupta had to go somewhere, and he's given his remarks. May I now request you to sum up your take on what is the best thing we can do as a country to go forward even faster than we are and become world leaders, both in terms of our economy and in terms of technology, especially since we have such a huge resource of HR and such wonderful institutions of which you are, I'm proud to say, members as well. So, General Kapoor, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. I would feel that on a technology day, we need to look at India becoming technologically sovereign. And the next step, the first step to it is to gain technology supremacy. We identify our SWOT and look at the gaps in our weaknesses and start focusing on them. And this calls for a national technology strategy. It calls for a national technology policy. It calls for structures in terms of committees, which actually look at the complete gamut of research from TRL 1 to TRL 9. That means till the deployment, the womb to tomb, if I may say, of technology. We look at how we are incubating. What is the innovation structure? What are these technology innovation hubs? And what are these centers of excellence? Can we bring them all together in a direction which gives velocity to our effort of technology sovereignty? And having said that, we look at benchmarks over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, over the next 20 years, over the next 30 years in our journey, and treat 11 May every year as a National Technology Day, when the DST, and I would also say that the DST should be upgraded to Ministry of Science and Technology, if that is going to be our focus. A Department of Science and Technology should be upgraded to a Ministry of Science and Technology. And we look at the minister, the technology minister, just like the finance minister, coming up on 11th of May and announcing to the nation as to what has been our technology journey in the preceding year and what it is going to be like in the next year. And therefore, in so doing, we'll be able to create the euphoria of technology the way we have created euphoria of Indian economy globally. These are my concluding remarks, sir.
Thank you very much, Anil Kapoor, for the, you have been thinking about it, reading, writing about it, and I'm very glad that we are fortunate as a platform that we have got the views of an expert who has put in so much of thought into developing the technology of our nation. May I now request General Ghosh to please give his concluding remarks.
Sir, we have celebrated the 25th National Technology Day. What we have seen is what has been put in place as far as structures are concerned to start with. We are looking at the next 25 years in which we want to not only become technologically self-sufficient, self-reliant, and in turn become a developed nation and a powerful nation. With that as a ultimate aim, what I feel is that for research, development, innovation, the effort has to be a whole of nations approach. The government is doing its bit. It will put in more and more as the days go by in this direction. The private sector has an equally good role or an equally important role to play in terms of putting in more tinkering labs, more innovation centers, more community centers, be it at the school, college, or research organization and research institutes level. This could be STEM for tech startups subsequently, or it could be any other sectors which are also having the application of this. TRL levels, we have looked at basic research. The basic research is good at the school and college level and at the doctorate level. The applied research is where the entire stress has to be for moving into TRL 4 to 7, where innovation come in. As far as defense perspective, it is the IDEX, the TDF, who are looking at this particular innovation line. And thereafter, once we have developed a very good, competitive, marketable global product, we will go look at TRL 7 and 9 levels. The government has also done well in the 25th anniversary, putting in the state-of-the-art science infrastructures in the digital domain for all India viewership in terms of real state-of-the-art facilities, be it for cancer research, be it for radiological isotopes, and be it for even like the laser interferometer gravitational wave observatory, which is a India, US, MIT, and others collaborated joint venture, which puts in state-of-the-art infrastructure in place for a student who's today the child innovator, innovative mind. In 25 years, when we are looking at the centennial year of the Indian independence, he is going to be a youth. He will graduate from a junior innovator to a junior scientist by then. And he is going to be the guy or the person who is going to look at nation building, nation development at that stage. So these are very good days celebrated to bring to fore what are the achievements, what is the future, what are contemporary technologies, and a peep to that, to the junior most in the country, which is the student. At the same time, I have one thing which did not come out in this is that the risk-taking appetite will always be there. There has to be risk mitigation by closing certain projects when required, if they are not yielding results, if they are overrunning their time milestones, or they are overrunning their cost. And lastly, to conclude, all innovative technologies or innovations which are coming in have to keep the major aspect of sustainability in mind in terms of the green energy, clean energy, environment friendly products, because that is where we are heading at. That is where we are signatory to in terms of the climate change agreement, where all those sustainable development goals, 17 of them have been set out. So with that, I would like to finish as far as my views are concerned, and we are looking forward to real good, challenging times and excellent technology transfers, technology absorptions, and technology development within the country. Thank you.
Well, viewers, with that, we come to an end of today's panel discussion. As you would have seen that our experts are having a very deep, in-depth knowledge. They have personally practiced as MRO experts and as in technology experts over decades. They have striven to take our nation forward in their areas of expertise. And here in MRO Digest forums, we have got a very large number of experts with us. And it is our effort also over here is to how do we help through sharing what we know to take forward the comprehensive national power of India through technology. And we look forward to seeing you in our future panel discussions. The show notes below this video has the links to the profiles of our participants. You are welcome to get in touch with them for any further interaction and any further advice that you need. Thank you very much, panelists. Jai Hind.